At the remote military training camp nestled deep in the rugged hills, the morning sun cast long shadows over the dusty firing range. Sergeant Cole stood with his arms crossed, his weathered face etched with years of hard service and skepticism. His eyes narrowed as he watched Lieutenant Emma Hayes adjust her stance by the shooting line. The new recruit's hands were delicate, almost fragile-looking, with skin unmarked by the calluses and scars that told stories of relentless field work. Around them, the battalion's top snipers gathered, their chatter low and laced with a mix of amusement and doubt. "Does she even know how to hold that rifle?" muttered one of the instructors under his breath, glancing sideways at Emma. Sergeant Cole's lips twitched in a half-smile of disbelief but said nothing. He had seen many rookies come and go, some tough, some soft, but none quite like this young lieutenant who seemed out of place amid the hardened veterans. Emma's voice cut through the murmurs as she stepped forward, her expression calm and resolute. "I'm ready to take the marksmanship test," she announced, her tone steady despite the stares. "I want to compete." A ripple of laughter broke out among the snipers. Sergeant Cole's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "Lieutenant, this isn't a game. This is the battalion's sniper competition. You're asking to go up against men who've been trained and tested in the toughest conditions. You don't have the calluses, or the experience, to survive out there." Emma met his gaze without flinching. "I understand your concerns, Sergeant. But I've trained for this. I'm not just here to participate, I intend to win." The room fell silent as the tension thickened. Sergeant Cole exchanged glances with his fellow instructors, sensing the division between the cautious veterans and the determined newcomer. Despite their doubts, the commanding officer had approved Emma's participation, intrigued by the unusual request. "Fine," Cole said finally. "You'll get one chance. But don't embarrass yourself, or the battalion." Emma nodded and took her position at the firing line, her fingers steady as she shouldered the rifle. The weapon felt natural in her hands, as if she had known its weight all her life. Around her, the seasoned marksmen began their own rounds, each shot echoing with practiced precision. As Emma raised her rifle and took aim, she inhaled deeply, centering herself. The gentle breeze whispered through the pine trees surrounding the range, carrying with it the scent of earth and gunpowder. Her pulse slowed, every muscle relaxed and focused. The first shot rang out, a perfect crack that drew eyes instantly. Shot after shot followed, each hitting closer to the bullseye than the last. The sniper's confident smirks faded into expressions of surprise and growing respect. Sergeant Cole's skepticism gave way to an involuntary tightening in his chest as he observed her flawless technique. Her hands never trembled, her breath was measured and precise. "Where did she learn to shoot like that?" one sniper muttered, disbelief coloring his voice. Emma didn't respond. She simply loaded the next round, her gaze unyielding. It was clear that her skills were not a stroke of luck but the product of disciplined training and innate focus. The room buzzed with whispered questions, eyes darting between the delicate lieutenant and the bullseye riddled with near-perfect shots. Sergeant Cole stepped forward, his demeanor shifting from dismissive to intrigued. "Lieutenant Hayes," he said, his voice quieter now, "you have skills that don't align with what I expected. You're not just some green recruit." Emma lowered her rifle and met his gaze. "I've been training for years, sir. Competitive shooting runs in my family. It's why I'm here, to prove that precision and discipline matter more than appearances." A murmur spread through the instructors as they absorbed this new information. The battalion's top snipers exchanged glances, their earlier amusement replaced by unease. If this lieutenant could outperform them, it threatened the very hierarchy and pride they had built over years of service. Sergeant Cole felt a familiar battle rage inside him, the stubbornness of a veteran clashing with the undeniable evidence before him. He had always judged by appearances and reputation, but Emma was rewriting the rules with every shot she fired. The day wore on, and the competition grew fiercer. Emma remained composed, her delicate hand steady despite the mounting pressure and hostile stares. Her presence unsettled the battalion, forcing them to confront their biases and assumptions about strength and skill. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an amber glow over the range, Sergeant Cole found himself watching Emma with a new kind of respect. Her precision was flawless, but it was her quiet determination that struck him most. She wasn't just proving herself with a rifle, she was challenging the very culture of the unit, demanding recognition on her own terms. "Keep your focus, Lieutenant," Cole called out as she prepared for another shot. "You're making the rest of us look bad." Emma allowed herself a small, confident smile. "Thank you, Sergeant. I intend to keep doing that." The battalion's snipers fell silent, some out of respect, others out of wariness. Emma's unexpected talent was more than a surprise, it was a disruption. Sergeant Cole felt the weight of unspoken questions pressing down on him. Could this delicate newcomer really outshoot the best marksman in the battalion? And what would that mean for the future of the unit and the traditions they held dear? As Emma lined up her next shot, the air thickened with tension and anticipation. The battle lines were drawn, not just on the firing range, but within the hearts and minds of those who watched. Sergeant Cole, once a harsh skeptic, now grappled with the dawning realization that this lieutenant's journey was just beginning, and it might change everything. As the days passed in the isolated training grounds, Lieutenant Emma Hayes' reputation began to ripple through the battalion like an undercurrent challenging the very foundation of their long-held beliefs. Sergeant Cole found himself drawn into a reluctant curiosity, watching the lieutenant not just with the critical eye of an instructor but with a growing sense of admiration. The delicate exterior that had so quickly been dismissed was now gradually revealing layers hardened by years of unseen discipline. One evening, after the day's rigorous drills had ended, Sergeant Cole approached Emma as she meticulously cleaned her rifle beneath the flickering light of the barracks. The room was quiet, save for the occasional clink of metal and the distant hum of generators. "You've got a hell of a shot, Lieutenant," Cole began, his voice rough but sincere. "Not just a natural gift. I'm guessing there's more to your story than you've let on." Emma glanced up, her eyes steady and unguarded. "There is," she replied, setting the rifle aside. "Competitive shooting runs in my family. I grew up on ranges, learning to control my breath, my nerves, my focus. It wasn't just a hobby, it was discipline ingrained from a young age." Cole nodded slowly, the pieces clicking into place. "That explains the precision. But it's more than just skill, isn't it? There's something else. A kind of drive most rookies don't have." Emma's gaze darkened, memories surfacing behind her calm facade. "It's about proving I belong. Growing up in a family known for shooting excellence set expectations. But this battalion, it's different. I'm breaking through barriers, not just targets." The sergeant leaned back, considering her words. "You're fighting more than just the competition. You're fighting the culture here, the doubts, the prejudices." Emma's voice softened but remained resolute. "Exactly. It's not just about hitting the bullseye. It's about changing minds. That's harder than any marksmanship test." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Sergeant Miller, the battalion's top sniper and unofficial gatekeeper of tradition. His eyes flicked with suspicion as he addressed both of them. "Lieutenant, I hear you've been making quite the impression. Maybe too much." Emma didn't flinch. "I'm here to compete, Sergeant. To prove my ability." Miller's smirk was thin and edged with challenge. "You might have skill, but skill isn't everything. This is about endurance, survival. You think delicate hands can hold up under fire? Don't kid yourself." Sergeant Cole stepped forward, his tone measured but firm. "Miller, enough. Lieutenant Hayes has earned her place by merit. We all know the battalion can't afford to ignore talent, no matter where it comes from." Miller's eyes narrowed, but the unspoken tension was clear. Emma's rise threatened his standing, and he wasn't willing to concede without a fight. In the days that followed, the rivalry between Miller and Emma simmered beneath the surface, culminating in an official challenge, a final showdown to settle once and for all who deserved the title of the battalion's best marksman. The announcement sent ripples through the ranks, dividing opinions and raising the stakes. Sergeant Cole found himself caught between his ingrained loyalty to tradition and his growing respect for Emma. He approached her one afternoon as she prepared for the upcoming duel, offering advice tempered by experience. "Emma, this isn't just about shooting," he warned. "It's about mind games. Miller will try to get inside your head. Stay focused. Remember why you're here." Emma absorbed the words, her expression calm but fierce. "I've faced worse than him, Sergeant. This is just another test." As the day of the showdown dawned, the entire battalion gathered at the firing range, the air thick with anticipation and unspoken tension. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the weight of tradition and the promise of change. Miller took his place first, his shots ringing out with practiced confidence, each one striking close to the center of the target. The crowd murmured approval, the veteran sniper's reputation seemingly unshaken. Then it was Emma's turn. She stepped up, the rifle steady in her hands, her breath controlled and deliberate. With each shot, she dismantled the expectations that had been stacked against her. Bullseye after bullseye, she matched and then surpassed Miller's score, her precision undeniable. The battalion fell silent as the final shot echoed through the valley, hitting dead center. The verdict was clear. Sergeant Cole stepped forward, his voice carrying across the hushed crowd. Lieutenant Hayes has proven herself today, not just as a marksman but as a force changing the face of this battalion. We owe her respect. Miller's face tightened with reluctant acknowledgement, the unspoken acceptance of a new reality settling over him. Emma's victory was more than a personal triumph, it was a challenge to the battalion's long-standing norms. As the crowd dispersed, murmurs of admiration and disbelief mingled. Sergeant Cole approached Emma once more. You fought hard, not just the competition, but the culture here. That's the real battle. Emma nodded, the faintest smile touching her lips. And I'm not done yet, Sergeant. There's more to prove, more to change. In the quiet that followed, the battalion found itself at a crossroads. Emma's rise was a catalyst, forcing reflection on resilience, breaking stereotypes, and the price of acceptance. Sergeant Cole's internal conflict mirrored the unit's struggle to embrace a new era. The final test had passed, but the true journey was only beginning. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy, casting dappled light across the firing range where the battalion had gathered for the climactic sniper duel. The air was charged with anticipation, every soldier acutely aware that this was more than a competition, it was a crucible that would redefine their unit's future. Sergeant Cole stood at the edge of the firing line, his gaze fixed on Lieutenant Emma Hayes as she prepared her rifle with meticulous care. Sergeant Miller, the battalion's reigning top marksman, adjusted his scope with a practiced ease, his expression tight with determination. The rivalry between him and Emma had become a symbol within the battalion, tradition versus change, experience against raw talent, skepticism facing unwavering resolve. Final round, the range officer announced, voice echoing across the quiet field. Ready, aim, fire. Miller's first shot shattered the silence, a sharp crack that resonated with the weight of years spent honing his craft. His bullet struck just inches from the bullseye, eliciting murmurs of approval from the assembled soldiers. One by one, he fired, each shot a testament to the precision and steadiness earned through countless missions and relentless training. When it was Emma's turn, she stepped forward with a calm that belied the storm of emotions beneath her composed exterior. Her hands, though delicate in appearance, were unwavering as she raised her rifle, aligning the sights with the target. The world seemed to narrow to a single point, the bullseye. Her first shot pierced the center with surgical accuracy. The crowd's silence deepened. This was no fluke but the culmination of years of discipline and focus. Emma continued, each successive round landing closer to the heart of the target than the last, her breathing steady, her mind clear. Sergeant Cole watched intently, a mixture of pride and awe swelling within him. He recalled their first encounters, the skepticism, the quiet defiance, the gradual unveiling of a talent that challenged every preconceived notion he had held. Emma was no longer just a promising recruit, she was a force reshaping the battalion's identity. As the final shot echoed across the range, it landed dead center, flawless in its precision. A hush fell over the soldiers, the weight of the moment settling like a tangible presence. Sergeant Miller's jaw clenched, his eyes meeting Emma's with reluctant respect. The title of best marksman had passed to her, undeniable and well-earned. Sergeant Cole stepped forward, voice carrying authority and newfound conviction. Lieutenant Hayes has proven herself beyond doubt. Today, she's not just the battalion's top marksman, she's a symbol of what we can become when skill, determination, and resilience overcome prejudice and doubt. The assembled soldiers erupted in applause, some hesitant, others genuine, but all recognizing the significance of the moment. Among the crowd, the atmosphere shifted, barriers that had once seemed immovable began to crumble. Emma lowered her rifle, the faintest smile touching her lips. She met Sergeant Cole's gaze. Thank you, Sergeant. This victory isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone willing to challenge the status quo. Cole nodded solemnly, the weight of his transformation settling over him. You've changed this battalion, Emma. You've shown us what strength really means. In the days that followed, the battalion's culture began to evolve. Emma's triumph inspired other recruits, men and women alike, to challenge stereotypes and pursue excellence on their own terms. Conversations that had been whispered in doubt now surfaced openly, fostering an environment of inclusivity and respect. Sergeant Cole, once a stern guardian of tradition, embraced this change with a humility born of experience. He mentored new recruits with a broader perspective, his respect for Emma's journey influencing his approach to leadership. One afternoon, as Emma prepared for a new mission, Sergeant Cole observed her from a distance. The delicate hands that had once seemed out of place now moved with confident purpose, ready to face challenges beyond the training range. The battalion stood transformed, a testament to the power of resilience and the breaking of barriers. Emma's victory was not just a personal achievement but a catalyst for enduring change, proof that true strength lies not in appearances or tradition, but in skill, determination, and the courage to redefine what is possible. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the camp, Emma silently readied herself for the journey ahead. Sergeant Cole's gaze followed her with respect and quiet anticipation, knowing this was only the beginning of a new chapter, for her, for the battalion, and for all who dared to challenge the limits set before them.